Hey, welcome to Slice of Life, where faith meets the everyday. I'm James, and each podcast I invite someone to dive into the moments that shape us, challenge us, and draw us closer to Christ. From coffee shop conversations to carpool reflections, we're talking about real life and the spiritual truths that help us live it well. So grab your slice of time and let's grow together. Yeah, well, hey, so welcome to Slice of Life. Hopefully you remember Stephanie. And she's going to join us one more time. And actually, I'm really excited for this year. This is season 3 of Slice of Life. I'm excited because you're helping me out. And because one of the things that we really want to be is not only consistent, but really think through some of our conversations. Yeah. And I think they have a plan. And so she's helping me have a plan, which is great. And so today we're going to talk about kind of social media and scripture. Right. And I think that that's a really touchy subject.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many layers to it, too.
Right.
Because you've got the mental health aspect of, is social media even something we should allow from like a health perspective and like what it does to your mind? But then also like, what are you putting into your mind?
Yeah.
And then how do you put all that into like the biblical context, and how do you behave online?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is a keyboard warrior biblical? Like that?
No.
That right there could be its own podcast.
No, it's actually kind of a funny subject because, and this probably won't make sense to anybody, but I've just finished a book written in 590 AD by a pope, Saint Gregory the Great. Really cool story, and his story's very interesting. But as I cracked open the book, I'm, working on my doctorate, and it's one of the required readings. So as I crack it open, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be just so boring and, super Catholic and not relevant to our day and age. And I'm reading it going, oh my word, this is so relevant to our day and age. It was like, if we could put it into our language today, it would have fit, and it would fit perfectly into the social media conversation, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because he talks about in this section, it's the pastoral role is kind of the whole concept of his book, but he talks about that who should be the leader, right? Or what he calls spiritual director. I love that term, spiritual director, because he wasn't just talking about pastors or archbishops or bishops or monks or any. He said anybody that wishes to teach. He kind of reminds me of James. The book of James. James writes, "Hey, not everybody should be a teacher. They desire that." He says, but those that want to be, or those that find themselves compelled to by God to teach, this is what they should look like, and then this is how they should function. And then at one point, he writes about, so if someone it talks too much or someone doesn't talk enough, this is how you deal with them. Okay. And if somebody is poor or someone's rich, this is how you deal with it. And so he looked at all these different, and I want to say 20, 30 different scenarios. And so basically at the end of it was saying, you've got to treat people differently for each one.
Okay.
Right? That each individual is going to learn different, see different, experience things different. Right. So when we talk with them, when we, what he calls advise, that we have to advise them differently based on who they are. And then he takes that one more step and he says, and then those of us that are leading, that we have to ensure that we actually know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which, right? And because he goes, if not, it's blind leading blind. And he was talking about, and this is where it really impacts me for social media. He's talking about so many that are following. And again, he's talking, this is 590 AD.
Yeah.
Right. He says, so many of the people that are following these leaders, quote unquote, spiritual directors, they're following people that don't even know their word.
Yeah.
And yet because they've received a title, and in that case, in this era, what's happening in the church itself is you've got an increase, which is not abnormal for all the time, but an increase of people trying to make money basically off of preaching and being that I want to be something
an occupation
in that area, right? So it's not a calling. I want a job, so I'm going to make money. And he said, so you've got to be cautious now as a leader, number one, that if you're leading, that you actually know answers, and live a life rightly, but then he's talking to the audience, he's talking to the congregation, and says, judge them by their fruit, begin to look at their lives.
Yeah.
And if their life doesn't match what they preach, stop listening to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's a big issue with, and it's funny because the terminology is the same. When people have a following on social media,
Yeah.
it's really hard, in my opinion, to see the fruit of that person because all they're posting is the highlights. All they're posting is what they want you to see.
Yeah.
And then it becomes all this scandal when the backdrop comes visible.
Right.
And then we have all these people, oh, these pastors, this and all this other stuff. But there's so many.
Right.
There's so many out there who you could be following. And they have very strong opinions. And they say, oh, this is biblical. But we have to be cautious.
Yeah. Well, and we can go all the way back to Paul. Paul talks about the super apostles.
Yeah.
Right. I love that term. This idea that he goes, I'm not like one of those super apostles.
Right.
And what he's talking about is they're flamboyant. They're the extroverted, charismatic individual that they walk into the room, they light it up, and their teaching's incredible. And they can preach anything, and make it sound good.
Yeah.
Right. And they've got an incredible following, is what Paul is saying. But again, there's no fruit. There's nothing. There's no substance in what they're preaching.
Yeah.
And social media is that. I can we just label them social media preachers? Let's just talk about it that way, right? I'm not talking about the mega church pastor or even individuals like myself that I have all these shorts out there that are created by your husband, right? He helps create all these shorts for us based on the sermon that I preach, right? I'm not talking about all of that stuff. We'll talk about that. But those individuals that get on there and they're teaching, they're doing their little song and dance, basically, right? As individuals, I think this is where we start and go, do I know that person? Do I know the fruit of that person? And that's the issue. And what I think was what you just brought up is that I don't know the fruit of all these individuals.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I don't know the fruit, what the Bible tells me, if I can't see their fruit, I don't allow them to speak into my life.
Yeah.
What research have I done to show that I know this individual? I see their lifestyle. And again, not a social media lifestyle. I see their lifestyle. And I think that is where we get into this massive issue in our day and age in 2026, where you've got all these people with a voice. They have a platform. They have a cyber pulpit, right? They have this this thing, and so people follow into that because, again, it sounds good. They've got the right lighting. They've got the right microphones. It sounds good. It tickles my ear. It makes me feel good. Whatever it is, it's something I agree with, my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So if I agree with it, then it's got to be right.
It's not convicting.
It's please don't convict me.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll share a story on that one. But there's this idea that what we should be as Christians doing is basically saying, hey, what's their life like?
Yeah.
And it's not so much even, and this is going to sound bad because I believe in college. I believe in obviously my master's work on my doctorate.
I better believe in it.
Right. But it's not even about their educational background, because they can be highly educated, but still be horrible Christians.
Yeah.
Right. And not have a life that is one that follows Jesus Christ. And so I think that becomes the moment where we have to ask ourselves, maybe, and this is going to be so bad, I'm going to say it out loud, maybe we have to shut off our social media and go, you know what? Those that I'm going to listen to are the only ones that I know personally.
Yeah.
Right? That I've seen their life.
Yeah.
Not again, their Facebook life, not their TikTok life, their Twitter life, Instagram. I've seen their life. I've seen them in dealing with people in the restaurant. I've seen them, driving. I've been to their home or have experienced life with them.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I'm going to agree with. Right? Any thoughts on that?
I think I think it's a good distinction. I think it's a good distinction to
We're going to lose a lot of podcast followers
probably
now.
I don't know this guy.
Because they're like, who's this guy?
It's dangerous for you to espouse that.
He's wearing a Chicago thing. He's in Columbus. What's going on?
I know. I think all of that is it's a good place to start to filter out what we do and do not listen to. I want to get your opinion though on, should we even be on social media as Christians? Do you think that Facebook and Instagram, do you think that those are things that are helpful for us, both from the ministry perspective as a tool to reach people,
Yeah.
but also from, I mean, garbage in, garbage out?
Yeah.
Is it worth putting in?
Yeah.
And it's so addictive.
Oh yeah.
It's so, and it's designed to be addictive.
And even for someone like me who is, I don't like social media.
Right.
I call it the necessary evil.
Okay.
I am really on social media because I want to be a positive voice out there.
Right.
Right. And I know that people will not do that, which I kind of wish everybody would do, just shut it off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are some certain aspects of social media I love. I love the fact because, you know, most of my family, most of my friends are back in Oregon.
Right. You can keep tabs.
I keep tabs.
Yeah.
Right. They see what's going on in my life. I get to see what's going on in their life. You know, it draws that connection, which is what it was meant to do. Right. But unfortunately, I've got to wade through 98% of garbage.
Oh, yeah.
To see a little bit. And even with the algorithms now and how they work, even those that I'm closest to, I've got to like search their stuff out.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't pop up
see
anymore.
what's going on. Right. Because they're trying to build other followers. They're trying to highlight certain, you know, propaganda, whatever it is. And so I think the answer in my opinion is yeah, we really shouldn't be on social media.
Okay.
Right. But we have to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, I cannot stand TikTok. I am personally not on TikTok. Our stuff is on TikTok.
Right.
Right. And the reason I'm not on it is because no matter what I've done and no matter how much I've tried to, I see garbage. I see the backside of women all the time. I see all this. Right. And it doesn't matter. I'll clean it up and one day it's great. And then the next day it's back to that same stuff.
Right.
You know, so me personally, I'm not even on TikTok. But, you know, as a church, I said, we've got to at least get some positive stuff out there.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to have a TikTok, you know, and walk through that. And it's kind of funny, even, you know, Instagram. I've got people that send me stuff. My wife will send me stuff. Your husband will send me stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And what will happen about once a week, I'll go on Instagram just to figure out what people have sent me.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's just who I am. I don't enjoy that because I just don't need that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. The negativity that's out there, again, the garbage is out there. And you said the garbage in, garbage out. You know, Jesus talks about it. Paul talks about it. You know, what the eye sees, what we're putting into us is what's going to be in there. And I think too much of social media, again, the vast majority of it is garbage. You look on it today, even in Facebook today, if you went on there, I can guarantee you that at least 75% of what you're going to see is garbage. It's hateful. It's divisive. And what we know about the church is we're supposed to be in unity and building each other up. And you know it's about dividing the kingdom and being so enthralled in the world. You know, and yesterday was Super Bowl, right? So you know,
who knew,
right? And so you got Bad Bunny on one side, and you got the Turning Point thing on the other, and they're fighting over which one was best. Oh, they're lying about their views. It's all this. It's just it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
it absolutely. Those that love Bad Bunny, go for it. Those that didn't want to watch him, go for it. You know, but in the eternity, if we're talking about as Christians, the eternity, none of that matters. I mean, I'll just tell you, as a Christian, you shouldn't have been watching Bad Bunny because of his voice. And honestly, I'll tell you, I watched The Turning Point. I started watching it. Number one, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Christian.
I was going to say, whoa.
I'm not a country guy, right? So it was kind of a lot of country, and what was billed as a Christian voice, and people are going to hate me for this.
It was right wing, not Christian.
It was not Christian.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you had American flag, and just because you had them say something about God. I'm listening and going, well, they're talking about beer, they're talking about this, or sometimes we get a little too drunk, and like that. Those are, hey, yeah, just FYI, that's not Christian,
right?
That is not what the Bible preaches,
yeah,
right. And so, but we argue over all of that, and we're all excited because, you know, Kid Rock, I think at the end I saw like he said something about Jesus Christ, but we're going all the way back.
Fruit is not
Where's
good.
the fruit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because he says it doesn't mean
Yeah.
he is a Christian.
Yeah.
All these Christian athletes that are praising God. You know, I think about the championship game, the college championship game, Indiana, and at one point, Miami, I think it was a running back scores, and he's signing "Jesus Loves You." It's got me super excited.
Okay.
Right. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then at the end of the game, he throws a punch at one of the other players.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, you know,
Jesus loves that guy too, man.
And yeah, and I understand at the heat of the moment, you know, I'm not talking that he's a non-Christian, right? But understand he loses his authority
Yeah.
to speak into my life when I see something completely contrary
Yeah.
to the love of Jesus Christ. You say Jesus loves me, and you're going to cuss me out and throw a punch
Yeah.
at me, right? And so he needs to grow in maturity. And you know what? We all have those moments. Again, I'm not saying perfection. I am not perfect by any means. But we're talking about those that we're going to allow to speak into our lives.
Yeah.
And just because they say Jesus is Lord, just because they say Jesus loves you, just because they say, you know, hey, open your Bible up, that doesn't mean anything. What is your life like?
Yeah.
Where's your love, your joy, your peace, your patience, your kindness, your goodness, your selflessness, right? This gentleness, this self-control. That's the fruit of the Spirit, by the way, right? Where is it? If I see that, then I will listen to you.
Yeah.
And in social media, that's the problem, is we allow people that have no fruit of the Spirit to speak into our lives.
Yeah.
And we believe it. We believe all of these things that we're reading, and for some reason we're giving them value. These speakers, these pulpit preachers, these individuals, and we're buying into whatever they're selling. And the truth is, we never really know because we don't check for ourselves, which is probably one of the questions we're going to talk about. They don't check for themselves. Is this true or not?
Yeah. And too, you mentioned the algorithm a little bit ago, and I think that that's something that we need to be really cautious of, because Jason and I both separately have talked about the algorithm changes after a certain time period of the day. Like during the day, it will be, homeschool. You know, for mine personally, I have a lot of bread and homeschooling and homesteading and chickens and ducks and all that type of stuff, right? But then at night, it's conspiracies, it's Epstein files, it's the cabal that's controlling all the government, and it's all of this other stuff, and it's dark, and it's fear mongering, and it's hateful, and it's like, well, go back to the ducks.
Yeah,
let me see the cute ducks. Where did the duck go? Just because it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're promoting all of these dark things. And Jason, he says, well, it's the same for me. Like, I have car videos and, you know, like whatever during the day, music things during the day. And then at night, it's stuff I've never asked for. And it's dark, and it's creepy, and some of it can become like very sexual. And it's like, well, I know I didn't put that into the algorithm, but the algorithm is trying to draw you out. And then I think about, well, what about the kids? Mm-hmm. Because what about teens who have social media and who have access to this? They're seeing
it's not even
the same
teens.
algorithm.
I mean,
it's not. It's young. It's everybody.
Or grade school kids, right?
Yeah,
now have it. You know, they're talking about, and I can't remember when this stat was brought out.
Yeah.
But like by 6 years old, you now in our world, 6-year-olds have seen pornography.
Yeah. Which is, it's just like
at 6 years, like
it's wild.
I can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
Like I think I was a junior high student when my brother who was in high school showed me a Playboy for the first time. Right. You know, like I was junior high, maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
And not that it's,
you know, and that was kind of young in that sense.
In that day and age,
right? Because normally it was like high school is when you're going to see some sort of that. But now you're 6 years old. You don't even understand anything.
No,
but because you're given a device, it's going to come up.
You have no idea what's going to pop up on there.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going to pop up on there. And like what you're saying with a magazine, that's a static image, which I'm not saying like, oh, that's okay.
Right.
But it's different than a moving picture
Right.
with sound, with
Yeah.
words and all that other stuff. Like that does, to me, magnify
Right.
the issue.
Yeah.
And you have no idea. You have no idea what's going to pop up next on your feed.
Yeah.
You don't have control over it.
Right.
So if you're giving, and like, I'm not trying to be all high and mighty, but if you're giving your phone to your child, you have to know you're giving up control over what is going into their eyes.
Exactly.
And you don't know if it's going to be cussing. When Charlie Kirk was killed, that was all over social media. You're watching an assassination take place.
Right.
And then it's all the conspiracies.
Yeah.
And how does that build us up? How does that bring us into love? It just it's a wedge.
It's a wedge. Yeah. It's all about being divisive, right? And I think that's the issue. And so when we talk about social media and who do I listen to and all of that, we have to take all of that into account and realize what are they trying to do? And I think a lot of the people, if we kind of go back to the social media preacher, right, the digital pulpit, my question then for them is okay, so if you can't see their lifestyle, are you paying attention to their words?
Yeah.
What is the goal of what they're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
And it grieves my heart, honestly, to hear so many Christians, and I say it that way because I don't know, I'm not judging them, but they're tearing other Christians down.
Yeah.
Right. And I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. Because what I know in the Bible is we don't tear each other down. We build each other up.
Right.
Right. And so, I don't know their life, and so maybe I can't see in it, but I really have enjoyed, seeing them and hearing them and but I got to pay attention to the content, right?
Yeah.
The what is the message,
Yeah.
And if the message is divisive, if the message is this guy is horrible, that guy's horrible, it's about attacking others. Again, they've lost authority to speak into my life.
Yeah.
Because it is not showing me the heart of the Father, the heart of God, right? To be able to say, I'm going to build one another up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about not pointing out hypocrisy, of bad theology. We should be doing that.
Right.
But this attacking of people,
like the core of who they are, essentially. Yeah.
It's just incredible to me. And we see all this infighting between Christian individuals, and the end of the day, I think it's about views.
Oh yeah.
So as a Christian, if I'm tearing another Christian down, I'm basically trying to steal their sheep, in my opinion, trying to steal their sheep, and I'm trying to gain more followers because what I'm saying is more provocative. What I'm saying is going to pique someone's interest.
Right.
I'm going to tell you how bad that person is. It's those moments of, like, Skillet, when they came out with a Christian or a Christmas song, you had all these people that loved. I loved it, by the way. But I'm a big Skillet fan. When they dropped that, it's just incredible, right? And their vocals are just insane. Best drummer I think ever. Definitely best female drummer ever. But I love you, Skillet. Right? I hope you guys watch my podcast. No, right? But then you had all these Christians out there like, oh, it's demonic. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. No,
it's just heavy.
It's heavy. They're reaching a different audience.
Right.
And so, but you're going to spend your time tearing down another because you don't like their style.
Yeah.
Because guess what? The lyrics are it's a Christmas carol.
Right.
It's good lyrics, right?
Yeah.
You're not tearing their lyrics down. It's not their theology. You're tearing their style down, and you're saying you're demonic because your style
Which is
wrong.
Strong. That's a strong accusation, first of all.
But if we take skill out of the mix, we see that all the time.
Oh yeah. Right?
You're wrong and you're evil, and because you don't agree with my style, my thought, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe we look at that and go, again, these are the people we're letting speak into our lives.
Yeah.
Right? These hyper judgmental individuals.
Yeah.
And again, there's a huge difference between saying, hey, let me tell you, this theology's wrong.
Right.
Right. to let me tell you, hey, how they did this is wrong.
Yeah. And I think too, like, it becomes so polarizing to where two things can no longer be true to people.
Right.
I can't think, well, this behavior was not correct, but at the same time, this person shouldn't have had to pay this penalty for said behavior.
Right.
It becomes you're either on this person is a saint or this person is evil. You can't say,
that's good.
well, and I'm thinking, the big thing going on right now is all the ICE stuff and all of that. And I'm thinking about all that. And I want to be able to say it's wrong that someone was killed, but it was also wrong that someone was engaging or provoking somebody.
Right.
But you can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Because then both sides hate you.
Right.
Because it should be they're saying, no, this person's a saint. How dare you think that they were wrong?
Yeah.
And also, well, you don't support, you don't support the federal agents. You don't support the law. Well, I can't think it's sad someone got hurt and also that they shouldn't have done what they did.
Right.
We should be able to have that view.
Yeah.
And that's I think, empathetic view.
Yeah.
But you don't see that. It's either one side or the other.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the issue is now churches are going to be, a congregation will be picking sides. And if one person in the congregation's on one side and one person's on the other, well, how are we still going to have brotherly love in the church?
Right.
And then, well, all these other things that now you have to be careful what you post or what you do this but that's what it wants us to do. It wants us to be pulled apart.
Right. Yeah, and I think of Jesus at one point. He's a good one to talk to, right?
Oh, right.
Well, how did he deal with this situation? Because he dealt with it.
Yeah.
Well, because his disciples one day they look out and they see these guys doing miracles. They see these guys doing stuff,
right?
And they're like, Jesus, we need to stop them. And Jesus is like, wait,
they're not in our union.
Wait a minute.
That's what I always think of.
Yeah, right.
Non-union workers.
They're not. Exactly. They don't wear our colors. We look at that and now as Christians we kind of read that and go, well, that was pretty stupid. They're doing good work, right? They're doing, and Jesus looks at them and says the same thing, like, wait, they're for us.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing the same mission.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's like, I don't care if they're doing what God has called them to do. Let them do what God's called them, and they don't have to be along the ride with us.
Right.
Right. That's exactly what's happening today, though. We're looking and saying, well, they're not with us, right? Yeah. They're not part of our union. I love that. They're not part of our group, right? They didn't do the initiation ceremony. They're not paying their dues to us, and so they've got to be evil. Well, no. Where do we get that? We don't get it in the Bible.
No.
We don't get it from what Jesus preaches, right? We don't get it from what the apostles taught us, right? We get it from the divisive enemy of our souls, the true enemy.
Yeah.
This is what he desires to do, is to split us as any way we can. And so when we start speaking up and saying, hey, you're wrong. Oh, and by the way, you're wrong.
Right.
Right. We get into the middle of this moment, and all of a sudden, both sides think we're evil. And I'm going to say it this way. Are you guys listening?
I am.
That's a good thing if they think we're evil.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal.
Because honestly, that's where we should be.
Yeah.
Right? Because I am not for you, and I'm not for you. Right? It's the Joshua moment. I love the Joshua moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, he's out there. They're getting ready to face Jericho, their first major battle. He's got the children of Israel, and he goes and he sees the captain of the Lord's army, and he says, "Are you for me? Are you for us or for them?"
Right.
And the captain of the Lord's army says, "Neither."
Yeah.
Right. I'm not for you. I'm not for right. Are you? And basically, to Joshua, are you with me?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what we should be.
Okay.
Right. Is I think when we look at so much of this polarization that's happening, right. Am I pro this or am I pro that? Am I anti?
And you can only be pro this. You can't be middle.
Right.
There's not a middle.
Right. But
which is,
am I for God?
Yeah.
Right. Is that the kingdom I'm thinking about? How would God treat these individuals? What would God think of the person being killed? Right.
Yeah.
On either side. If we're talking about ICE situation. Right. The lawlessness of the riots and them throwing things at police officers and ICE agents. That is breaking the law.
Right.
Okay, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that they're wrong for protesting. I'm saying
Right.
how they're protesting is
Is
wrong,
wrong. Yeah.
right? And so, but then you look at the ICE agents and some that have gone over the line and done
That's
the wrong things,
that's also
right?
wrong.
That's also wrong.
Right.
Why? Because my Bible says it's wrong.
Right.
My Bible tells me to come under authority, even if I don't like the authority that's above me.
Yeah.
I still must answer to it. You and I, we're military people. You're still in. I served 10 years. You know, you probably have stories. I got stories of people that had one more stripe than I had.
Yeah.
Which means what? I got to listen to him.
Yep.
He's an idiot.
Still got to
Can I
listen
say
to him.
that? Yeah, he's an idiot. I've said it
You're
before
out.
on a
You're
Sunday.
out. What does it matter?
Right? Yeah. He's an idiot, but I still okay, Sergeant.
It's a lawful order.
Okay, Sergeant, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. You know, I'm 10 times smarter than you are. You know,
This is going to break, and it's not going to work. But
it doesn't matter because you told me to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? The Bible tells us the same thing, that God installs leaders, appoints leaders, and He tears them down. Right, and that we are to follow those leaders. Right, and the only time we're allowed to not follow leaders is when it breaks God's law, the morality of what God says is the right and wrong. That would blasphemy. It's we go Old Testament. Let's go Daniel. Daniel doesn't pray to the king of the statue. Right, he goes, I pray to God and God alone.
Yeah,
right, but he followed all the other laws.
Right.
Why? Because he was under authority of a king that was not a Christian or Jewish, right?
Right.
Let's go back there,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so, and Jesus even says it so many times. You know, he says, "I'm gonna give under Caesar what is Caesar's."
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do that which I know is the right thing to do. He is God, and yet he still comes under authority. In fact, at the end, it's an interesting story when you look at Jesus and at one point he speaks to the priest and he gets slapped for it, right? And then he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were the high priest." And he comes, Jesus comes under authority at that point because he realizes, "Oh, you're the high priest."
My bad.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Jesus is God. The high priest is actually about leading the people to worship Jesus.
Right.
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 Like, let's put it, but because Jesus had decided to give up his authority to come down as a man and live under a man, he placed himself under authority of a man that was actually supposed to be worshiping him and was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That's incredible when we kind of just walk through the whole process. And so I think, again, we kind of walk through the social media thing and we're looking and saying, man, are you a voice I'm going to listen to?
Yeah.
Which means, are you a voice that is speaking the word of God and coming under authority, that is not divisive?
Yeah.
That maybe is pointing out the hypocrisy, maybe pointing out the theological problems, maybe trying to help guide us through this? Or are you just trying to get followers and likes and again, you're just trying to tear other people down?
Yeah. Which I think that brings us very nicely to the keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
So as a Christian, do we call that out, and how do we call that out?
Yeah.
And I know, God bless Bishop Eldridge, man, because he called out someone after the snowstorm with churches shutting down because it wasn't safe to come in on the roads. Like, he saw someone, he looked at their fruit, he did the research and looked at their fruit and was like, nah, man, you don't know what you're talking about. And he called that person out.
Yeah.
So as a normal Christian, not a bishop Christian, not the state leader of the youth and discipleship program Christian, do we do that? Do we call out what we see, or is that adding more divisiveness to it, do you think?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think it's both and.
Okay.
And neither.
Okay.
Right?
Neither.
I think when we look at all of that, and because I found myself doing it multiple times where I type things out and then I check with the Holy Spirit again, like,
Yeah.
We got to be led by the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Right. And I think also we have to realize what we're doing in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the value, what's the value of the moment, but what's the fruit going to be of that moment?
Okay.
And I know what post you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good one, a great response. and there was a whole bunch of other garbage on there,
Right.
right? And so all of those needed to be quiet,
Yeah.
you know. And what he did was he answered the theological stance of the individual,
Right.
right? As he said this, right? And said, you're not reading your Bible correctly,
Yeah.
right? And your fruit is not showing,
Yeah.
right? If it said this and this is how you're going. So, I think when you're in a place that you see bad theology, right? You've got to ask yourself a couple questions. One is, will this individual, right? Will they listen to what I'm going to say?
Like, can they receive it?
Or will it just be more divisive for them?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think when we think about that scenario again, so just I think so listeners can understand. So basically, what had happened is there's a guy that got on and got very frustrated at all these churches shutting down.
Yeah.
Right, because of the snowstorm that hit Saturday night, all day Sunday morning. Right, it was saying that all these pastors are living in fear. Right, and we're not Christian, because if we really believed in Jesus Christ, we would have rebuked the storm. Right.
Okay.
And it wouldn't. That's what he said. Right.
Right.
And so Pastor Chris, who's our youth and discipleship director of the state of Ohio, he gets on as this guy is blasting again. He's blasting a pastor of our region. So there's a couple things there. So Pastor Chris actually has authority.
Yeah.
Right. As a state official.
Right.
For the churches of God in Ohio, who and these are individuals are therefore under him.
Yeah.
That's a big difference right there.
Okay, that's a good distinction to make.
So when you look at it and you say, okay, so Pastor Chris took that authority that he had, right? And what did he do? His response was not like what I wanted to respond, dude, you're an idiot, right? But his response is, this is what the Bible says.
Yeah.
And so you're wrong. But again, I think he took his authority. And so I think those are all the things that we begin to ask ourselves, is someone going to listen to me? Do I have authority to speak into their life?
Right.
And then we'll go to the other side of it, judge not lest ye be judged for the same manner that you judge, right? So then I look at my life and go, okay, is my life clean enough to where I can actually see the speck in their eye?
Yeah.
Right. And instead of the plank in mine,
yeah.
right? Am I in the position right now to where I can do that? And I think I had one bishop that I worked for a while, and he said this. James, we have to understand that not every spirit is open, right? And so if we put what the scripture says, pearls before the swines, right? We'll put it that way. But if we give them, right, and we're trying to minister to closed spirits, we're just wasting our voice.
Yeah. Right.
And so, and I think that's what happens to these keyboard warriors. They're wasting their voice.
Yeah.
Because again, I'll just be honest, and this is my own opinion, so you may disagree with me, but most people that post on Facebook, they don't want conflict. They just want to hear that they're right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're out for the affirmation.
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
Please tell me I'm right. And even if you point out that I'm wrong, factually wrong, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
It's the movie Liar Liar. I've said it multiple times before, but there's a point in the movie Liar Liar where he's got a pen, and it's a horrible part of the movie language, right? But I remember this is years ago. I watched it, and he can't lie, right? He can't verbally lie anymore, right? And at one point he has this pen. I don't know if it's red or blue, and he's trying to say that the pen is blue and it's really red, and he can't get it out. He can't get it out, right? And he's trying to break his arm and make it right. He's trying everything he can, and even though he knows it's not. Well, I think that's what we do a lot of times.
Yeah,
is we try to break somebody's arm and get them to say the actual truth, right? To realize the fact, but no matter what we do, they're going to continue to lie themselves.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want fact. I don't want to know the truth. I want to know my slant on the truth.
Yeah.
I want to know what I already think. So I look at that and go, why are we arguing with people then? That again, no matter what I say, they're holding their red pen and they keep saying it's blue, and I prove to them the chemical makeup of this pen is it's red,
Yeah.
it won't matter to them
No, because it's blue.
because
It's always going to be blue. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people in that's what we see on social media is
Yeah.
that I don't care if you point it out to me. You show me factual proof, and we can see it in just everything that's going on just in our day and age, even with video proof.
You don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
AI is, and it's not even just AI. It's also like clever editing, and it's
Yeah.
the angle which something's shot, or it's how it's cut together, or all these different things. But you don't know.
Yeah.
Show me the proof is no longer enough proof.
Right.
And I know I got a video sent to me by somebody, and they said, "Hey, I don't think this video is true.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why it's not true so I can explain to somebody else why it's not true?"
Yeah.
And it happened to be a picture of Air Force One landing at a rally.
Yeah.
And the person who's posting the video said, "Oh, the government recognizes, or the military still recognizes, Trump as president. Here he is flying into this event yesterday," or whatever it was.
Right.
And I look at the video and I watched it a couple of times to, really familiarize. I'm like, well, I was on the plane that day, because I see, well, here's, it says "welcome to this city," and I can kind of make out a date down here if you look real closely.
Yeah.
And I was actually on that mission, and that mission took place when he was in office.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had stitched it together just right,
Right.
where if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. And so I explained, well, this is my evidence for all this stuff. I have no idea if that person is going to buy their evidence or not, because they could, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, whatever. But it's almost to the point where if you weren't there, you don't know if it's true or not.
Exactly.
And that should also scare people.
Right.
You should be afraid of the fact, or not afraid because don't live in fear, but conscious of the fact, aware of the fact that whatever you see on your feed could be manipulated. It could be fake.
Right.
And we know that there are agencies out there purposely releasing fake things to cause stress, to cause fear, to cause
that
division.
Right. Yeah.
And don't give them the satisfaction, man.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. And that's the problem with the keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I've seen recently, I think an increase, is the opinion driven questions on social media. Where it's like, the government's doing this. Do you agree?
Yeah.
They're only meant to bring division.
Oh yeah.
Right. They just want to get people fighting.
Yeah.
And if you're part of any local like community page,
oh man,
guaranteed it's going to be ugly. It's absolutely going to be ugly. And you got those anonymous warriors.
Oh yeah.
Right, because they don't want to get whatever. And then you got moderators doing their thing, and just like,
and
man,
Karen's complaining about everything.
This is garbage.
Yeah.
It's absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
Right. And yet we are so addicted to social media.
Yeah.
And in the Christian world, listening therefore to all these individuals and giving them, again, authority. I just love that idea that I think we got to think about it that way. Who do I give authority to speak into my life?
Right. And every post is speaking into your life.
It is.
I think that should be clear.
Right.
Like, whether you want to agree with it or not, it is entering your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can manipulate. It can twist your view on things. Again, right? Again, because video evidence is not real anymore, right? It could get you to begin to question things.
Yeah.
It's the Adam and Eve and the snake.
Well, he didn't really say that, did he?
That's right. That's all the snake was trying to do.
Yeah.
Right? It should just make you double think about something. Just just question it just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just enough. And I think social media is that way. And when we think about these the cyber pulpits, the internet pulpit, preachers, right? That's so much of what they are. And there's so much bad out there. Oh my word! When I watch some of this stuff, I'm so grateful for so many in the church today. They'll send me things.
Yeah.
Hey, Pastor, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about? What do you think about this? And they've allowed me to speak into them. And can I tell you, almost everything they've sent me, I've told them back, that's wrong.
Garbage.
Right?
Yeah.
It is wrong. It's not theologically correct.
Yeah.
And here's why it's not theologically correct.
Yeah.
Because this is what the Bible says, And we look at these and we're like, man, this stuff's happening. And so I've got, I say a handful of people, a dozen people that do that, right? But I have almost 200 people that come to this church at any point,
Yeah.
right? Part of it. And so what's the other 190 doing?
Yeah.
Are they buying into it? And I can tell you some of them are, because I'm social media friends with them.
Yeah.
And I see some of the stuff they post. I'm like, why are you posting that?
So do you ever ask them?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and what do they say?
A lot of them. Well, okay.
Do they receive what you say? I
most
guess is
most of them do, because the ones that I talk to
Yeah.
are the ones that I'm pastoring.
Okay.
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 Let me define that. So I just said we have almost 200 people. I think we have 177 people that come to this church
Yeah.
on a whatever you want to call a regular basis, right? I don't pastor 177 people.
Right. Because not 177 souls are open
Exactly.
to being pastored right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. They'll come to the church, they'll listen to my sermon. They may even like my sermons.
Oh my.
Right? Yeah, crazy. But I've never one-on-one talked with them. If they need advice, they need spiritual counseling, they've got something going on in their life, I may never know.
Right.
Right? See, a pastor and my shepherd, right? When I look at it that way, then I have some sort of connection.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I need to talk to them on a daily basis.
Right.
But if I've been here 4 years and I've never talked to you,
Yeah.
And am I really your pastor? I don't know your life.
Yeah.
I can't know everyone's life.
I was going to ask, what would
but-
happen if you had 177 open souls? That's a lot.
That'd be really cool.
You would need a
That
much
would be-
bigger staff, though.
That would be really cool. Only because that's the heart of I think every shepherd, which kind of leads us into another conversation, and I think we need to have it about if your pastor's live stream, your pastor's social media pastor, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Because a shepherd is one that's going to be able to speak into your life,
Yeah.
know your life, and to what we're talking about now is that to be able to open and honest to say, hey, I see a problem in your life.
Yeah.
I see something, and I'm worried about you. I'm worried about the theological slant that you're going. I'm worried about the divisiveness in your life, And so I see this from social media, and so others. I kind of answer your question. So those I talk to are those that I'm pastoring.
Yeah.
Right, that I have a relationship with. They've allowed me to pastor them, and I've never had one of them ever have an issue with it.
Okay.
Right, because they know me enough to know that I'm not just picking on them.
Right.
I've done it publicly before, and mostly I've always done. Normally I do it privately, but there's been times where I've had to do it publicly. Because of the post and bad theology.
Yeah.
One of my absolute least favorite posts. This is the ones I've done publicly. So I'll explain this to you. Is it's the napkin. So do you know what I'm talking about? The napkin.
No.
Jesus' tomb, right? So there is, and it's been out there forever. This idea that Jesus folded his napkin, and left it there to tell everybody he's coming back. Okay, right. So that preaches. I've heard it preach.
It preaches nice.
Right. It's just great.
Right.
Here's the problem with that. That custom, which is an English custom, by the way.
Right.
Right. We're talking
the napkin folding.
The napkin folding.
Right. The napkin folding.
We're talking 1,000 years later.
Right.
Right. It was not a Jewish custom.
No.
Right? It didn't have that symbolic, and it wasn't a napkin. It's just a bad translation of napkin. Jesus was not eating in the tomb at a table, right? It was a face covering, right? And so we've manipulated that story. We put our culture into it. Again, bad theologians that don't understand culture, and we put that culture in there. And so I see it all the time, and every time I see it on Facebook, I point it out.
Okay.
Publicly.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is bad theology. Yes, Jesus Christ is coming back, but he didn't fold the napkin because he's returning to that table.
Right.
He's not returning to the grave.
That's what I was going to say is if you're returning to the place you folded the napkin, that means he's going back to the tomb, which we already defeated it. We're done with that. I thought we moved on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm talking about when I've kind of approached things publicly like that. Because I see that kind of garbage all the time.
Right.
And there's so much of that, and it's shared, right, over and over again. And let me just speak to this real quickly. Stop sharing.
Okay.
If people would just stop sharing, oh, that sounds good. And if they would just for 1 second think about it, and if they can't answer that question really quickly and go, oh, that's for sure, ask somebody who's in the know. Ask
Yeah.
someone more knowledgeable than you. This is all where discipleship comes into play. And go, hey, Pastor, what do you think of the napkin folding thing? What do you think of that? And then if you ask me that way, I'll be very nice and say, well, I'm glad you asked, right? But if you share it, I'm going to tell you it's horrible. Just walk through the process
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
When I teach MIP, which is teaching, pastors, when I do any class, I always go to that one. I'm like, stop with the insanity, right? Stop this
Right.
moment. This is horrible. And yet I see that's just such a great example. That stuff happens on Facebook, social media all the time.
Yeah.
And people are always sharing those type of things. Well, the Yahweh's the breath of God, and so every time you breathe, you're saying the name of Yahweh. And I don't know if you've seen that one as well.
I
It's the
think I
long
have
picture,
seen
the
that,
whole
yeah.
thing, right? And again, it all sounds so good,
Right.
right? But then you get to the end of it and go, but is that biblical?
Yeah.
Where's the Bible in that? And
Yeah.
in fact, I actually shared it one time, a video, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but this guy was on there, and oh man, he sounds so good. And I'm showing it to the group of Wednesday night folks. We're going through the myths that Christians believe. You remember that series like last year? I think it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I showed this video, and at the end of the video, this guy's teaching. He's going back to all the Greek and the Hebrew and blah blah blah, pull all this stuff. I was like, "What do you guys think?" And most of them are like, "Oh, that's good."
But
That's
they have
good.
like that's a trick question. If you show me something that said, "What do you think?" I'm gonna be like, "This has to be true."
You're like, yeah, obviously,
I'm suspicious.
obviously, pastors go do stuff, right? But he was so
Yeah.
convincing
Yeah.
that they're like, oh man, that's good. And then I'm like, oh, but what does the Bible say? And then once I said that, they're like, oh wait, he's wrong.
Oh yeah. That book.
Yeah,
That thing.
right.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember the exact video, but it's in those moments because we see it, we're like, oh, it's got to be true, but we never have that moment where we ask ourselves. And then I said, then the problem becomes we hear it, we're like, oh, that's good, that'll preach, and so then we forward it, right?
Yeah.
And you know what you're doing at that point is you're forwarding garbage.
You're spreading
bad
garbage.
theology, and never thinking through that moment of like, is this correct?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, is it coming from somebody I should listen to? Right? I've seen their fruit, and I see their fruit, and even what they're talking about. It's non-divisive. It's uplifting. It's encouraging. And sometimes encouraging, by the way, is condemning. It's saying, hey, this is theologically
Yeah.
correct, right? But I see the intent. I see the heart of it. Is it something that I've heard, not that I've just heard before, but I know in the Bible is correct?
Yeah.
If it starts meeting all of those, then you can be like, hey, this is good stuff, and this is an individual I can listen
Yeah.
to. The Bible tells us, to test the prophets. And that idea there is to test those that are speaking into our lives, right?
Yeah.
And go, okay, I hear what you've said, and now I've seen what you've said. I've heard what you said, and I see those words, and they line up with the word. And as long as you keep speaking that way, I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah.
But the minute that you don't, I've stopped listening to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I wanted to talk about this other part of it is, again, this idea that and please, I'm going to say something here, and I don't mean it, because I think he was a great guy that fell, but redeemed himself. Jimmy Swaggart. There was a movement there in the, I think it was the late, 2015 maybe, kind of in that time,
Okay.
where it was Jimmy Swaggart's my pastor. I don't know if you've heard of this,
Mhm.
and people were leaving their local church,
Right. Their local body.
and beginning to give money to Jimmy Swaggart's ministry and to watch him online.
Right.
And it was Jimmy Swaggart's my pastor.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. And I actually dealt with that. I had a guy do the same thing to me. He's like, well, you don't preach about Jesus enough. Jimmy Swaggart does. I mean, we had a whole bunch of salvations that year. I don't know what, but he had been convinced. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Swaggart did this, but there was a movement. I understand what he was trying to do in that moment. And I looked at him. I said, so here I've come to your house, I've helped your mom out, we've done all this
Yeah.
ministry. Will Jimmy Swaggart come to your house?
Yeah.
Will he be there when your mom is down and out and when she had that problem? Will he be there to have lunch with you and to walk you through all these things? You know, my question to you is, do you have a local shepherd,
Yeah.
right, that will be there? Yeah, no, you're not going to have a Greg Rochelle or some of these great big massive pastors, that they're flamboyant and they're great preachers and
Super
their
apostles.
content and super apostles,
Yeah.
because they've got like 100 people on staff writing their sermons. I'm not bitter, right? But you got all this
Yeah.
and you got all this going on, and I understand. Yeah, he's a better preacher than I am.
Yeah.
Right. Again, he's got all the staff in the world, right?
Right.
He's not doing all the other stuff, and I'm not poking fun at him, but realize you can still listen to him, but go to church.
Yeah. Be in a
Get
body.
invested in the body. Allow your pastor, your elder, somebody in the local body to be able to speak into your life, and then that way you have somebody. Because I guarantee you, if Jimmy Swaggart was alive today, you couldn't reach out to him and say, "Hey, Pastor Swaggart, can you tell me, should I be listening to this guy on Facebook or
Right.
social media?"
Right.
Right. But I guarantee you, if you go to your local pastor,
Yeah.
right, if he or she is worth anything, and you say, "Hey, can you help me? Can you vet this out?" Do it.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, for me personally, and I'm not any different than most pastors that I know that pastor smaller-ish churches. Most churches are under 60 people,
Yeah.
right? But my door is open.
Yeah.
And I love it when people want to come in and talk about God,
Yeah.
right? And
That's kind of what you do.
and to walk through that. It's not an inconvenience, right? And I can almost guarantee you that your pastor, the majority of the pastors that are out there pastoring smaller churches, those in the 60s or like us under 200, right? That pastor is just waiting for somebody to come in
Yeah.
and go, "Let me pastor you. Let me love on you. Let me help you walk through this. Let me help you why you shouldn't be listening to this guy, or maybe point you to people that you should be listening to."
Right.
Because there's incredible voices out there,
Yeah.
right? That are good, solid voices. The problem is they are the minority.
Yeah.
They are not the majority.
And the algorithm is not pushing them up.
No.
Right.
No. And we hear, and again, I'm not saying that we're great, but I can tell you, I know the algorithm is not for us,
Yeah.
because the minute we start to take off, we tank.
Yeah.
Once we get to a certain level where it's a couple thousand views, then all of a sudden and we've not changed anything.
Yeah.
We've continued to do what we were doing, right? And then so what we have to reimagine how we do what we do.
To try to fight the algorithm.
Exactly. To regain whatever momentum that was. And it's like it throttles us down, right? Because it's not meeting that which they desire to meet, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, Big Brother's out to get us. We're just Life Church of Easton. But we have to realize there is an agenda out there,
Yeah.
right? These social media platforms are non-Christian,
Yeah.
right? And again, they're looking for more divisive information,
Yeah.
right? And we're just not that divisive.
Which is, what the church,
Other than
the church shouldn't be.
other than the one we posted recently where I call people idiots,
Yeah.
they're causing church hurt.
Yeah.
That was kind of
That one's funny. That's tongue in cheek.
my wife was like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "Well, yeah,
I
I
approved it.
preached it actually." So yeah.
Well, before we wrap, can you do like top, 3 tips for Christians on social media?
Get off.
Get off. Get off, log out, and delete. Are those your 3 tips?
That's the 3 tips. Well, I think number 1 is learn to censor.
Okay.
Right. I think that is, and I'm not just talking about censoring who you're watching to, but your time.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think it's so easy to get into that scrolling that right and looking at that. So I think censoring your time and again censoring those that you listen to.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay to unfollow people.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay to block people. It's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm like, I did it this morning. I saw some guy. I'm like, I'm gonna unfollow you. Your language is divisive. This is unbiblical. I don't need you on my feed. It's okay to unfollow them because you don't want them in there anyway. So yeah, I think that's probably the number one, is really begin to censor time, censor those that you're following. Number two is have kind of an I'm gonna call it accountability partner,
Okay.
but have somebody
Right.
that you can go, man, I just saw this. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
Right. And can I just say, make it somebody who you would call a mentor,
Mhm.
somebody that actually knows the Bible
Which means also get a
a
mentor.
little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk about that too often, right? I feel like people don't want to hear it anymore. But yeah, that you know that somebody's a little bit more learned than you are
Right.
in the Bible, and that will be able to either answer your question right away or say, well, let's figure out the answer to
Yeah.
that. Right. So censoring yourself, finding your mentor, finding somebody that you can put in there. And I think number three is it is just get off.
Okay.
Right. I think that's where we begin to do ourselves a better service
Mhm.
if as we silence those voices.
Right.
Right. And so I'm not saying that you have to get off, but I think, thinking through that is like, this is not my life.
Yeah.
Social media is not my life.
It's not
filled
real.
my life,
Yeah.
right? But it's not my life, and that there's so much more out of that moment, And I think about it, and I'll just be really transparent here. My wife and I, we went away, and at the place we stayed had a hot tub, and it was just out in the middle of nowhere. And then every night we got into the hot tub and we just talked.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you know what? We love watching TV. I mean, it's just kind of our downtime, just to, we'll watch a movie or whatever. She loves baking shows,
Yeah.
those kind of things,
Yeah.
right? And so we'll watch those. And a lot of times she'll be on her phone. I'm not on my phone as much, but she'll be on her phone kind of scrolling through, and I'm like, do you know, in the last like 3 days, we've talked more than we have like the last couple months.
Right. Because you're in
Right.
a cell signal.
Because where we were, there wasn't really anything, right? But we were in that hot tub and we just talked,
Yeah.
Like, I miss that. We've been
Yeah.
married 33 years now. That's kind of what we were celebrating. I miss that, and we just feel it because it can become part of your life and you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she'll grab her phone and be like, "Oh, look at this,"
Yeah.
And it's almost like we're sort of engaging because we're engaging in maybe the same content,
Right. We're
but
sending the videos back and forth.
but
Like,
then
that's
we go
what Jake and
back
I
to
do
it,
a lot.
right? Then we go back to it and we scroll some more,
Yeah.
And
it's
then like
silence.
last night, even we're watching the Super Bowl together, sort of, and she's scrolling and I'm pausing, like, oh, look at this sack, I've got
Yeah.
so she can watch it, so she can be part of the world together.
Yeah.
Right. I think we've got to regain that and get rid of social media
Yeah.
in those moments and say, this is not a time for scrolling.
Yeah.
This is a time for actually be together.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
Oh, hopefully you guys have
That's
found
good.
this helpful, and you've hated some of it,
Not too divisive.
but yeah, not too divisive, right? Well, but hopefully it just helps you grow.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have one less person sharing garbage.
Sharing the napkin.
So if again, if you not liked it, you liked it, let us know. If there are comments please, I'd love to hear them. Other suggestions for topics that you want us to talk about, I'd love to, because this is an opportunity. I think when I think of Slice of Life, I'm always thinking like how do I be practical in my Christianity? How do I be practical in my life? What does it look like to really walk like a Christian? I'm not the greatest Christian in the world, but I'm sure trying to get somewhere.
Right.
And hopefully everyone will join me on this journey. So looking forward to our next one together. Be blessed. Make sure and comment, like, let us know what's going on. Well, hey, thanks for spending a slice of your day with us. If today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or sparked a new thought, we'd love to hear about it. Follow us on social media to keep the conversation going, and don't be shy. Send in your comments, your questions, or even topic suggestions for future episodes. This podcast is about living out our faith in real life, and your voice helps us shape it. Until next time, keep walking with grace and keep living the life God's called you to.